well. So I have started the recording. Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our AMEI Virtual Journal Club. Today we have Dr. Song Yin and Dr. Chan Pei Yuan, consultants from National Dental Centre Singapore, moderating our journal club today. Thank you, Dr. Song and Dr. Chan, for your time. You may take it away.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eileen, and I'm a dental specialist specializing in doing braces, and I work at the National Dental Centre. I have here with me my colleague Pei Yuan, who specializes in root canal treatment. And thank you for having both of us here today to share with you about this journal article that we've chosen. And we hope today's session will bring about a fruitful and enlightening discussion. So the journal we've chosen today is entitled Social Media in Dental Education. And we've chosen this article because of the increasing use of social media in all walks of life, especially in today's Gen Z learners. So a brief overview of today's program would be we introduce the social media platforms and also explore the use of social media for healthcare education and provide some personal reflections on the use of social media for healthcare education and guidelines for use of social media for healthcare education. So what is social media? Social media refers to the means of interactions among people in which they create, share, or exchange information and ideas in virtual communities and networks. Essentially, social media is a collective term for websites and applications that focus on communication, community-based input, interaction, and content sharing. People use social media to stay in touch and interact with friends, family, and various communities. Businesses use social applications to market and promote their products and track customer concerns. And more recently in education, social media has found its users too. So there are many social media platforms available, as you can see from this slide. So to make it a bit more interactive, we have decided to do a poll on what social media platforms do you use on a personal basis. So feel free to use your handphone to scan the QR code to participate in this poll. Oh, I can see it's largely Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, just like myself. Oh, there's some TikTok too, and Twitter. It seems like the majority uses Instagram and YouTube. Okay, I think that's about all. And just to share the next slide. Oops. All right, so this is the percentage of people who uses the various social media platforms. And I'm sure everybody's aware of the increasing influence of social media and the exponential increase in the user numbers. So our little poll kind of corresponds somewhat. Facebook, Instagram is leading, followed by TikTok and then Twitter. So the next question is, what social media platforms do you use for teaching purposes? So again, feel free to take part in this poll. All right, I think that's about it. So Facebook, oh, YouTube. YouTube seems to be leading. Okay, I shall move on.
Okay, so I'll be sharing a bit on the grounding on, how do social media work in medical education. So basically it grounds on two theories. So this would be the theory of connectivitism as well as the communities of practice. So if we look at connectivitism, so basically it's a learning theory for the digital age. So this postulates that learning occurs through the formation of networks, largely facilitated by technology. So in which learners are given the tools and educators are facilitators of this process. So in the context of social media, this translates to online interactions. So theoretically, if you have a higher number of connections or online interactions, this would increase the opportunity for knowledge transfer as well as resource sharing. And these networks would also expose the learners to diverse perspectives, encouraging them to develop critical thinking skills and to examine their own practice or knowledge. Practically, this also results in the formation of learning communities where you have people who are interested in the same topic, same motives, same learning interests. And if we look at a community of practice, so this describes individuals with common domain of interest collaborating and sharing ideas to learn or complete a task. So this encourages learners to play a more active and central role in the community. And this is actually a contrast to conventional educational settings where knowledge sharing may be unilateral from the educator to the learner. And so this is also similar to on-job training without a formal didactic component. Next. So this circle that you see actually displays the various platforms that have been used. So if you can see that if you refer to the inner circle, this displays the logos of 5 most commonly used social media platforms, and the outer ring actually provides some examples on how these platforms are used for medical education. So each example is located near where is most relevant platform, and of course there can be significant overlap between them. So if we look at the connectivitism theory, so basically if you look at Twitter, so tutorials, so this is actually a play on tutorials and tweets, so basically facilitating knowledge dissemination in very short snippets. So this is very useful for learners with short attention span. And of course, information can be transferred from between users, and this also enables, this is enabled by social media. And in terms of community of practice, so basically we have, educators are able to form virtual communities of practice in the form of, Facebook groups, where learners can share ideas, ask questions, exchange resources pertaining to a specific topic, such as, like the use of ChatGPT in education. Next. So this is just some examples of how social media is used in education. Go back. Yeah. So what you see over here is actually a group for medicine. So you can see that medical students or doctors actually post clinical presentations or ask advice or just share some clinical cases. And then under the comments, you can see that there are 21 comments for this, in which people will give their differential diagnosis for the clinical presentation. So in this other Instagram post, so basically Dr. Gordon Lai actually shares some tips on endodontics next, and also troubleshoots like some common challenges faced and practical tips on how to overcome them. So this actually is quite valuable because he shares his real life experiences, of which some cannot be found in textbooks or journals. And then this is also another example for education in orthodontics, so whereby they actually show some of the orthodontic cases from pre to progress as well as outcome. And then of course you have some discussion on, as in, so there will be some comments and stuff on how they achieve the outcomes and some tips to overcome some of the challenges faced when managing such cases. So in addition to theoretical sharing of knowledge, social media can also be a platform for sharing of tips and experiences. And this can be quite useful around like a variety of topics such as, work-related topics. So this could include, optimizing sleep patterns for night shift, or, maintaining a work-life balance, or advice on, revision, interviews, or how to make the best out of your clinical placements, such as what you see over here. So you can see that if we look at the number of people who actually viewed the post, you can actually see that it's about 10,600 people who viewed the post, and about 1,200 people who responded to the tweet within 48 hours. So that's actually quite a wide reach, considering, it's just a simple question. And in terms of the makeup, you can see that actually about 77% are medical students, 15% are doctors. So imagine if you are a medical student, being able to access, so many people, getting so many points of view, and also all this advice, it actually comes in quite helpful, quite handy, especially when you are, maybe just starting your posting and stuff like that. So this actually provides you opportunity to reach out to people, not only within your geographical vicinity or, your seniors, but also gaining some experience, or, hearing from maybe someone from another part of the world, how their experience might be as a medical or dental student. Next.
Okay, so now let's move on to the next poll. What are the benefits of using social media platforms to teach? For those who responded previously that they have used some social media platforms. Okay, so we have respondents coming in. A benefit is to be able to connect with learners around the world and improve reach. Forces you to be concise, that's true. It engage a lot of learners. It's true, the reach is very wide. Yes. Oh, okay. More perspectives, multiple media choices. Oh, I see a very interesting comment here. This is how the world is teaching. Singapore is lagging. How true. Faculty can skill up on social media. Yes, we are trying to engage younger learners. Yeah, that's true. We feel the generation gap already. Capture attention of new generation of learners. Yes. Many teaching around the world happen on Twitter. Very nice. I like all the benefits that have been written. Inclusive learning. What does inclusive learning mean? Can the person who write that maybe elaborate a bit more, or you can unmute yourself? It's a very informal session. Learning at own time and pace. I'm thinking inclusive learning, meaning like you do not
Actually, it's me. So I was thinking it's more of like there's no barriers in terms of the types of learners that you engage,
oh,
because
I
there
see.
are different types of learners that are on the platform. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Mm. Thank you for clarifying. Okay, I think that's about all. Okay, let's move on. So in the article that we have sent out, the benefits of social media in dental education would be enhanced student engagement, improved communication with patients and colleagues, networking, interprofessional education, patient education, health promotion, and of course, outreach to the community. So I think there are a lot of advantages for its use in healthcare education. Platforms like Twitter work very well for delivering journal clubs and tutorials because they allow live global participation. And additionally, social media also offer a degree of informality. So for example, you don't have to be too formal when typing tweets. And sometimes in a formal educational setting, we might not students may not be brave enough to, speak up and ask questions to higher ranking people like professors. So using social media, they feel like they can access information easily by just maybe typing a tweet and then they get answers straight away. And yep, let's move on. So, but with all these benefits of social media, there are always risks and concerns involved. So what do you think are some of the concerns of using social media for teaching? Maybe we can invite some people to unmute and share.
Maybe I'll start first. So maybe a point on patient confidentiality. So if the pictures that are shown, they don't cover the eyes, patients' information are not protected, then of course potentially that this can lead to a breach in patient confidentiality.
Yeah, true. Actually, another concern I have is also like, because everybody is free to tweet, right? So who vets the accuracy of the answers? And it's like no one is liable if you get wrong answers off the net. So it's not regulated. Yeah. So maybe Piran can continue with the some of the risks involved.
Yeah, so some of the risks for the use of social media in education includes, dissemination of inaccurate information. So sometimes, the students may just view, just go on there and then just take it at a surface level. They may not have developed skills to critically appraise the information, and hence, if they don't really, apply critical thinking and stuff, then the content and stuff may not be fully accurate. And of course, there's this thing about fake news, right? During COVID time, there's a lot of fake news and stuff like that. So potentially this, all this also can also trickle into, the healthcare education. And of course, there can be a negative digital footprint, such as, if they post something negative and stuff, then it's always, once you post something, it's always in the internet, right? You can't really delete it and stuff like that. So it's always important to be aware of what you post on the internet. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, privacy and boundary violations. Of course, poor content quality. Sometimes these videos that are posted on YouTube and stuff, nobody really vets them, right, for their content and stuff like that. So whether they're accurate, how good are they and stuff, we don't really know. And of course, there's also possible miscommunication during this process. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So maybe just to add on also, the part on loss of direct patient contact. So basically, using social media to learn, it's like just a tool. But I think a lot of learning takes place when you observe actual patient-doctor interaction going on like in real life in a clinical setting also. So this is something that social media cannot provide as well. Yeah. Okay. So what are some ways that we can mitigate these concerns? Does anybody want to maybe type into the chat box or unmute yourself to share?
Hey, hi, Nigel here. Maybe I can kick off lah. So sometimes in groups, whether Facebook groups or closed groups, the basic ground rules like no bullying, no patient privacy, violations and respectful attitude sometimes helps, not because people are naturally bad, but sometimes students or learners get a bit overzealous. So just remember to rein them in.
Thank you for that. Sorry, Dr. Andrew Ong.
Yeah, hi. Thanks. So mine is a bit of a different take. So I feel like I think all the concerns are real, but I think the problem with SingHealth is we are too careful, and therefore we don't do this enough. Because I think the whole world is really moving towards this is the currency of the world, of knowledge transfer in the world now already. And then if you look at what we are doing within SingHealth to actually use this to teach, it's almost non-existent. And it's like, why are we doing that? Because some people actually do it, they don't do it because they are scared of all this bureaucracy, all this red tape. But actually some of this red tape is self-imposed one. The rest, all these things are patient confidential. Most of us, we don't do these things. But then we are so scared of being vulnerable that we don't even do it. And then at the end of the day, the people who lose out are our learners, because this is an opportunity to really teach in a very different way. And it's like, so for example, in my program, my trainees, after they finish learning from a tutorial, right, then they will post on Twitter. And then what we do is we actually can save them as PDFs. And because once you post on Twitter, there's the hyperlinks you can use. For example, you attach a website which brings you to the journal article that you want to reference, right? Then you can actually click on it, and people can actually just go straight into the PubMed link to actually get to the journal article. At the same time, the rest of the world actually takes part in the learning, because like one of my trainees, when he posted on Twitter, within 2 days he had, I think, 25,000 views. It means it can't be from Singapore. Singapore, no one use Twitter. This is around the world. And so is, you suddenly realize you become part of everyone's learning. Then people follow you, and then suddenly the reputation of the institution also moves forward. So there is so much that we can actually benefit from this. The rest of the world benefits from it also, because Twitter, it has a very bad name because of Donald Trump. But actually, the academic world of Twitter is very in their own silo. They actually are taking care of themselves, and they're very civilized people. So it's not like the rest of Twitter. So I think we really have to tap on social media. So I think all these things are good, but I think sometimes just bulldoze your way through. Don't care about all these things. And yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Actually, I just want to share something as well. I mean, prior to the IT incident from SingHealth, prior to internet separation, I found it much easier to prepare, I would say, presentations, or patients I would say patient photos, patient data. It's much easier, and these days I think it's difficult to kind of upload these things into social media, because there are so many policies, and we're also afraid of breaching any of these IT policies. And plus, because there's internet separation, right? So the photos or the data that we have, I mean, in my field, orthodontics, we do take a lot of photos to monitor the tooth movement and all that. And all these photos are all stuck in our computer, and it takes a lot of effort to get the external thumb drive to get it out and anonymize everything. So much work, so it just puts us off. And so yeah, I do agree that it has set us back a bit in using social media. Okay, thank you for sharing. So maybe we can move on. So Pei Yuan, you want to continue?
Yeah, so in this article, they mentioned about this evidence-based approach. So of course, we know evidence-based dentistry and medicine. So this is actually a systematic approach for critical thinking. So basically, this includes 5 key steps. And so this includes, asking answerable or relevant questions, assessing the best evidence, appraising the evidence, applying evidence to patient care, and assessing the treatment outcomes. So similarly, like when we are evaluating, when we are using online content and stuff, then we should also develop and apply some of these critical thinking skills when evaluating this online content, and in determining whether it should be incorporated as part of the curriculum. Yeah. So a bit on this. So basically, this Commission of Dental Accreditation in which which accreditates standards for dental education programs. So basically, they state that graduates should be competent in the use of critical thinking and problem solving, because students or future practitioners will not only have to access and be in a way bombarded with increasing scientific evidence in peer-reviewed journals, as well as misinformation or disinformation in predatory journals, as well as social media, online platforms. So because there's so much information out there, so students must be able to develop critical thinking skills and apply this evidence-based approach to when they are critically consume this online content. So in this article, they actually shared this prompt framework, which was developed to help students evaluate the information. So this includes, presentation. So like, is this information presented clearly? Relevance, does this match the information that you are seeking? Objectivity. So in this online content, is it free of personal opinion or vested interest? Yeah. So if there's a conflict of interest and stuff like that, then it may not be so reliable. Methodology. So like, is this information collected using rigorous methodology? Provenance would include like, is the source of information trustworthy? And of course, timeliness, meaning that is this information up to date? So for example, you can have someone presenting some technique from 10, 20 years ago, which is no longer relevant or what current or what we use now. And of course, there must be reasons why that is so, and then hence we may not want to adopt, we may not want to use the technology that was or technique that was done like 10 to 20 years ago. Yeah. So basically, having a peer review process even for social media is quite important. So in this article, they actually shared some social media guidelines, so such as maintaining confidentiality and privacy of the patient or the content of the information that you're sharing, respecting university time and property. So I think what is also important is that when as educators and stuff, when you post stuff online, it may not. It's important to state that this is of your own views and stuff, and not representative of the institution, because sometimes there may be some so basically it's important to just include this disclaimer, and also basically to think before you post. And of course, if you were to give any comments and stuff like that, it's important to always be respectful as you would in real life. Yeah. So then in this article, they also mentioned some guidelines as to how to produce social media content for educational purposes. So this includes, utilizing evidence-based information as much as possible and avoiding techniques that have not been scientifically validated, acknowledging the scope of one's audience. Patient consent is very important, and also, of course, de-identifying the photos and personal information. Of course, upholding the highest standards, professional standards as well. So, as Eileen mentioned earlier, the professionalism is still as important as it is in real life. And of course, if there's any new evidence in the field, it's important to update this content regularly. Yeah. So, I think social media in healthcare education is in a way a double-edged sword, but in a way is here to stay. It has numerous benefits, such as connecting learners across the continents, bridging barriers, hierarchies, and also allows us to address health inequalities. However, there are some issues such as professionalism, which needs to be addressed, as well as the possibility of fake news and content and stuff like that. However, if social media is used appropriately, it can actually bring about benefits and allow greater outreach to our younger learners for healthcare education.
Okay, that's all we have for all of you today. Any questions, please feel free to unmute. Or if anybody is shy, we can communicate by email as well.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Eileen and Pei Yuan also. Honestly, I think what Andrew said was quite true. Actually, generally, I think when it comes to faculty and our learners, when we use social media for learning, most people are very responsible, honestly, when they are doing it as part of a learning activity. main reason, I guess, why institutions have social media policies is because when people act in their own personal capacities in social media, that's when things tend to go a bit more haywire. You know? Usually, when it comes to teaching, people are quite responsible. Yeah, so most of the time I find it just not like we were saying, just a couple of ground rules, not too many rules, because otherwise, well, must clear by HOD, clear by group chair, clear by CEO, clear by group comms, institution comm. Wow, I know you're a young, enthusiastic colleague who wants to do something, will just die from fatigue, bureaucratic fatigue. So sometimes it's easier to just like have light touch, let them go. And then jaga the more personal social media issues, which are the ones that typically crop up. To give an example, for example, one of the medical students was illegally filming our SingHealth colleagues in action at the workplace, which is a big issue. That's in a personal capacity, nothing to do with learning. Learning people are generally okay one. Yeah. Andrew, yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Nigel. So I just want to say, I think that there are two things that we can actually do in the institution already. I think one is to create awareness, because I think people just do not realize how powerful social media is. They still believe that people are going to go to a website and download their journal article from there. They still believe that, and they don't realize that someone who retweet a link to your article can get 30,000 views and downloads in one day. That you can never get after 1 year of having your article housed in that website, and the researchers are very stubborn. They really believe this is for the young and hip, but it's not. If the whole rest of the Western world have already moved towards this, I think they already saw the power of this, and that's why, like, even the non-English speaking countries like Thailand, Korea, they are trying so hard to enter, and we are English speaking, and then we are relatively complacent about it. We don't even adopt it. So I think that's one. I think the second is, there are people who want to do it and they just don't know how to start, because they don't feel like they have the bandwidth or the capacity to do it, and so they're very resistant. But actually, it's a very low bar, and there's actually a systematic way to do it. So, for example, in Twitter, right, you don't come in and you start posting because no one's going to listen to you. So it's like what you do, you go in, you follow, and then you start by retweeting people, and then when you have a bit more confidence, then you start to create your own content. That kind of thing, I think someone has to teach them that there are steps to do that. Who are the right people to follow? You go and learn from how they do things, the kind of what time to post the articles, what kind of media you use. All these things are very useful skills that actually, if we learn how to do it, it's not that difficult. In fact, it makes your life a lot easier if you do it. I mean, you combine different methods. I think it's much harder to just do a tutorial PowerPoint slide when you can actually just pull out something online and actually get interaction with your learners. And your learners are all very used to this. In fact, they're not used to having to sit down in a room for 1 hour being taught a PowerPoint slide. That is what they're not used to. This is their life. Right? So I think we really have to think about changing our mindset as educators.
Yeah, I agree with Andrew. I think you see even our professional organizations, I'm sure it's the same, Andrew, for your gastro organizations, for our neuro ones, right? Conference highlights, new articles, all that, they all come out on social media, and they have a really good social media team that engages with all of us around the world. And that the social media outreach of the professional organizations have got it down pat to a formula. Every 3 days, like one day's conference, every 2-3 hours, they post conference highlights on Twitter, on Instagram, etc., which we kind of do have a little bit of in SingHealth, but somehow just our game is not so strong as the overseas professional organizations who do it really well from not just an educational, but also a bit of like self-guyok publicity point of view.
Yeah, I thought the point on that Andrew shared, about Twitter, I think it's quite good, because actually I don't really use much of Twitter. Maybe we could have a AMEI course, on to educate educators how to use Twitter.
Oh yeah, right. I don't even have
Hey,
Twitter account.
hey, good idea, man, Andrew. How to upskill your Twitter fu, your Kung Fu. Seriously,
There are actually a lot of published papers how to do that. You'll be surprised. You go PubMed and you just write Twitter or tutorial, and you look at the amount of things that people have published on how to do it. It's actually it's almost like a field on its own already. Yeah. So I think that there is a lot. To be honest, there is a lot of material out there that you can learn how to do this properly. But you don't have to be so complex one. Actually, even the simple one, yeah, you'll be surprised how much it actually helps you yourself keep up to date. Like for me, in the morning, sitting in the toilet, then you scroll Twitter, right? Then you suddenly you're up to date with the rest of all the journals that are coming in. I don't need to check my computer. It's straight. That is just for my own knowledge, or not even like teaching other people yet. So it's really an amazing world. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you everyone for the sharing. It's been really enlightening for myself. If there are no other questions, then we can end today's session. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Elaine, Pei Yuan. Great
Thank
session.
you.
Kind of fun discussion. Thank you.